So the thing that's been driving most of my work recently is a pretty simple question. In a space that moves as fast as this one, how do you actually identify which platforms have real infrastructure behind them and which ones are just riding the current wave of interest? And the answer I've landed on after a few years of doing this is that you can't answer that question from the outside. You have to get in, run the thing properly, and let the experience tell you what it is. That methodology has shaped everything I put on this channel. And it's what brought me to the platform I've got open in front of me right now. I've been running this one for about 6 weeks, and today I'm just going to show you exactly what that experience looks like from the inside. And then before we wrap up, I want to talk about what a functioning security practice actually looks like when you're operating in this environment day to day. Okay, my dashboard is up. This is the operational center. Everything I need to configure, monitor, and manage a session is on this single screen. Okay, so first thing I'm doing is selecting a token, going with ETH today. And I want to spend a second here because I think this particular aspect of the platform gets underappreciated. It runs on multi-chain architecture, which puts 14 different assets on the table for me to work with right from the start. And in practical terms, that means I'm not working around the platform's limitations when it comes to what I'm currently holding. I'm just picking what makes the most sense for this specific session. Token is confirmed. Now I'm heading into the data center settings. Here I configure the operational intensity for the session, the resource depth, the processing load, the overall performance profile throughout the run. And the reason I approach this as a deliberate decision rather than a default is straightforward. These parameters have a direct bearing on the final result, so there's a real efficiency calculation involved in where I land on this. Okay, I'm satisfied with the configuration, pressing start, and session is live. Console's running right here, resource utilization, time elapsed, session progress, session identifier, and the log window right here that I keep an eye on throughout the run. So I'm going to let this work for about a few minutes, and then I'll take you through the full withdrawal sequence. So I think that's a solid window. I close this session out. Okay, session is complete, and it's showing me the exact ETH output from this run right here. That's what this session generated. So to move it out, step one, I add my receiving address for the token. One moment, please. Okay, that's in. Next is the infrastructure step. That's the platform's charge for the session, derived from my configuration parameters and the total active runtime. And this is where flagging specifically. I have complete flexibility over which asset I use to settle it. It's purely based on whatever's most practical for me at this moment. There's also a wallet connect integration right there that handles the settlement automatically. But I'm stepping through this manually just so the whole process is laid out clearly. Okay, everything is submitted, tapping continue right here, and now it's just sitting and processing for a few minutes. Should come through pretty fast. So while we wait, I want to spend a moment on what cloud mining actually is at a mechanical level, because I know people land on content like this from different starting points, and I'd rather establish a shared foundation. The model is clean. Instead of investing in physical mining equipment, running it at home, managing power costs, heat, hardware degradation, you're accessing industrial computing infrastructure that's already operational inside a professional data center. You define parameters, and the system handles the computational workload on their end. No hardware on your side, no setup process, and no ongoing operational overhead. And because the user-facing side of that looks so clean and accessible, it's consistently attracted projects that replicate the surface of the model without any of the infrastructure underneath it, which is what I want to address directly. So look, I'll just say it. I've been burned by projects like that before. And I bring that up specifically because I think the idea that operational experience protects you from this is one of the more dangerous myths in this space. It doesn't, and it didn't for me. And what allows this to remain a persistent problem, rather than a solved one, is that this industry operates at a pace that structurally discourages patience. The flow of new platforms and new narratives is constant, and that creates a kind of ambient pressure where flowing down to actually scrutinize something starts to feel like a competitive disadvantage. So a few things that are now just baked into how I look at anything new. First thing, and this is actually where I spend the most time, I go through the entire product end to end, multiple times. Not a quick scroll, not a 5-minute poke around. I mean a proper methodical walkthrough of every single feature the platform claims to offer. And I do that more than once, because the first run through anything tells you relatively little. It's the second and third time that you start catching the things that didn't register initially. Second thing is functionality under real conditions. I don't just check whether a feature exists, I check whether it actually performs consistently every time I interact with it. Because a lot of platforms will show you something that works once and then quietly breaks under repeated use. And that pattern tells you a lot about the stability of what's running underneath. And the third thing, and honestly, this is where I form most of my final opinion, is how intuitive the whole experience actually is when I'm moving through it as someone who's genuinely trying to get something done. Not reading the documentation, not following a tutorial, just using it the way a real person would use it. And if at any point I find myself stopping to figure out what I'm supposed to do next, or something doesn't behave the way the interface suggests it should, that friction gets logged, because it usually means corners were cut somewhere in the build. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for watching.